Hey there, good morning, everybody. Well, this is afternoon now, but good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to my Get Ready for Greatness Lunch and Learn workshop. This is day 4. For those of you who are just catching the Get Ready for Greatness Lunch and Learn workshops for the first time, I'm Richard Cuff. I'm president of CTI Marketing, founder of Nasimba Business Alliance, and master greatness coach at getreadyforgreatness.com. And for the past week or so, I've been making the adjustment to this new place in my life, in this virtual world that we are in. Uh, Coronavirus and the shutdown and has forced everyone to go into a different place, and the shift that has taken place in our economy has been so sudden. All the things that we feared, that we tried to avoid, that we put off for decades, it just came upon us suddenly, and now we've got no choice but to figure it out. We're going to be all right. This in the grand scheme of things, the 14 billion years that Earth has been rotating around the sun, in floating into this thing we call our galaxy and the universe and all of that. This is not even the blink of an eye as far as what we're going through. So we're going to come out of this okay. If you guys haven't had a chance, please follow me on, of course, like the Facebook page and follow me on Get Ready. Follow me at Richard Cuff. Follow me at Richard Cuff, and also um, on Twitter at Richard Cuff, and then you can follow me on Instagram at Cuff the Comedian. So right now, and if you go to richardcuff.com, it'll always bring you to the Get Ready for Greatness page, and you can see all of the videos from day one all the way through. So I'm committing to doing this for 21 days straight. I'm going to be here for the Lunch and Learn workshops. This is there. I didn't have as much time as I would like to plan it. The coronavirus kind of took everybody by surprise. So every day I'm adding a little bit more to the technology. We haven't had a chance to test out Zoom onto Facebook and Zoom onto YouTube, but it works really well when I go over to YouTube. So it doesn't have I haven't had any problems yet on YouTube. For whatever reason, when I use Zoom over on Facebook, Facebook seems to kick me out or something drops or whatever. So I'm not doing the live directly onto Facebook, but I did post the link. So if you saw it on Facebook, you clicked it and you got over here, you're watching it now actually on YouTube. But later on, I'll post the replay back on my Facebook pages, and you'll be able to find them at Richard Cuff. You'll find them at Get Ready for Greatness. You'll find it at the Facebook page, Get Ready for Greatness. So everything will be there for you. So but most importantly, I want you to go to getreadyforgreatness.com, the website, getreadyforgreatness.com. And there you will find that the 21 Days to Greatness program sits. That's where it lives. So the 21 Days to Greatness basically begins when you begin. It's the fact is that you can have a totally different life in 21 days. Whatever you're doing now will be totally off the radar, and your new life, your new habit will be in the process of going. It's been said that you can create a new habit. It takes 21 days to create a new habit. It's not that it takes 21 days. Some science biologists have actually found that it's about 66 days that it takes to develop a new habit. And coincidentally, there's 66 books in the Bible. So another conversation. But it will take about 66 days to develop a new habit. And also, it's going to, so 21 days, though, I think is what it takes to become conscious. So before we go into the Get Ready for Greatness Lunch and Learn, I want to kind of piggyback on some of the things that I've been discussing in my morning commutes. If you hadn't had a chance to check out the morning commutes, please just go to follow me on my Facebook, on my personal Facebook page. It's when I do a live every morning as I'm commuting to work. and commuting here to the office. And my morning commute is, if I drove from my front door to the office, my morning commute is actually 40 seconds, about 40 seconds. And for quite some time, my wife has been telling me that I should walk to work. But when I get to the office, I often have to leave and go to a client's location. So I drive so that I can have the car here. But because I'm on lockdown, most of my clients are on lockdown. Nobody's moving around. Uh, just the essential workers. And God bless you, all the essential workers. God bless you, those who are in the medical field. I have several friends in the medical field. My doctor, I consider my personal physician as my friend. Shout out to Dr. Willie Pinnick and everybody over in the St. Vincent's Network, the Shands Networks, the Baptists, all you guys. God bless you for the work that you are doing, because you've always been essential, but now more than ever, we know it. And so I've got the medical workers. My mother-in-law, the greatest mother-in-law on earth, works at Shands. And I couldn't have prayed up a better mother-in-law. Everybody talks about the problems with mother-in-laws. That ain't me, y'all. So thank God for everybody that's out there doing this. But the my morning commutes now have become a tradition, if you will, because you guys are really discovering how I think. And this has been me for years, for 30, 40 years. These thoughts have been in my head, and I've been sort of walking around with and thinking this way. And I don't think like the normal person. So when I was faced with the consciousness that the lockdown caused me to be locked down with myself, I realized I was having a really good time with myself, because I've literally have spent 40 years getting to know myself. And it should not have taken me 40 years had someone been able to coach me along the way. So what I have at getreadyforgreatness.com and this whole Get Ready for Greatness process is I'm showing you what to do, what in 21 days, what it took me 40 years to learn. So someone said that the children of Israel wandered in the desert for 40 years for what technically was an 11-day journey. And they could have got there in 11 days. You could get to where you're supposed to be in life and where you've always dreamed and desired to be. You can get there in 21 days. But if you are getting caught up and uh, not thinking consciously, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a second here, because I really want to emphasize this. If you don't understand that in 21 days you can have a totally different life. But not only in 21 days can you have a totally different life. In 21 days, you're going to have a totally different life, whether you want to or not. But in 21 days, with deliberate thought process and deliberately using what God has given you in your mind to be able to project energy out into this openness and create what you want, in 21 days, not only can you have a different life, but you can have the life that you've always dreamed of. And you're going to say, Richard, you mean to tell me with coronavirus killing everybody and all the negative things that are going on out there, I can have the the life of my dreams? I could have what I always wanted? You mean in this the worst time ever, I can have the best life ever? Yes, you can. That's exactly how this thing works. You see, guys, the truth is the truth is the truth, no matter what. And but see, there's the truth, there's the whole truth, there's nothing but the truth, and then there's absolute truth. I talked about that this morning in my morning commute. So you can go back and look at any of the morning commutes. They kind of coincide with what I'm talking about in the lunch and learn session. So we're on day 4. So day 4, we're talking about the 7 stages of what I call the progressive mindset theory. So on day 4, we're now up to the fisherman mentality with a protective mindset. So we're going to go over that a little bit later as I talk more about the progressive mindset. But the first thing I want to talk about is just the basic understanding the basics of business ownership. And guys, you if you have been following me, you know that I love myself some Zen tea, right? And I bought this cup. This is one of my great memories in my parting gift, if you will. I worked at a place called Music Time for quite some time, and they had these cups on sale. I'll show you here. It's actually I guess it's a right-handed cup, but it's got the treble clef there and the music notes on it. And so it's a wonderful gift because I love music. I love teaching kids, and so all of this is coming together. So um, I'm beginning to find my rhythm, if you will, because I I don't feel like I am bound to the clock, the the checkbook, the calendar, or the map anymore. And I've said this in my coaching sessions to my clients. In order to go where God is taking you, you have to take your mind off the clock. You got to take it off the checkbook, off the calendar, and off the map. These are all things of measuring, and it has a lot. It's all science, guys. Everything comes back to science. But there are two things about matter in in the world of science, and it boils down to two states of matter. It can be in the static state, and that's when it stands still, and as it stands still you can touch it and you can measure it. And then there's the dynamic state. In dynamic state you can't touch it, you shouldn't move it, because the moment you touch it you change it from dynamic to static. For those of you who follow, the Christian teaching, there's and we're approaching that moment coming up this weekend. Is the whole difference between dynamic and static is Jesus's life came down to showing you what God looks like in the static form. Static mean in a body, in physical flesh. That's matter in the static when it's standing still. If and for websites, if you look at a static website is something that's very simple. Every time you go back to the website, it has the same information on it. It never changes. That's called static. That's a static website. A dynamic website is it changes. You go to the website, and you while you're on the website, it's changing right in front of you. That's a dynamic website. And then the most dynamic websites are those that can follow you around, and you go to the website and you check out a pair of shoes, and by the time you get back over to your Facebook page, those exact same shoes that you were looking at on that website are now on your Facebook feed. That's because over the years, dynamic websites have become more and more dynamic. What we fear it because we call it artificial intelligence. But all of that is artificial intelligence. Anything that starts to move, that's moving based on the fact that man put it into motion, it's artificial. It's not moving of its own energy. So it needs some sort of energy to move it. But once it starts moving, all the laws that apply to any energy must apply to that energy. So whether it's physical energy that's being moved, or mental energy, emotional energy, or spiritual energy, they all apply. The same laws apply. That on the spiritual, you have static spirits. You, bro, those static spirits, my brother, are the ones that we're dealing with right now. That's what we call the devil. That's that's the devil. Those static, the thing that is always messing. Every time he's always there. What you guys say? Same. What does they say? New levels, new devils. No, it's the same devils. Just you thinking about it differently. So we've got the static and the dynamic, but I wanted to share all of that to bring to you that Jesus was in static mode when he was walking amongst us, and we could touch him, and we could feel him, we could measure him, we could put labels on him. He was okay with all that. One of the disciples was like, Jesus, how shall we tell people to preach you? Like he's like, y'all put whatever label you want to put on me in the static stage. I don't care, because that's based on you. But when Jesus went to the dynamic state, that was at that moment when he was moving from earth to his highest being. He was in a dynamic state. He couldn't be touched. How do you know? Mary, his mother, went over to try and touch him right after he came out of the grave. out of the tomb, and she saw Jesus, and she rushes over to him, and Jesus says, touch me not, for I have not yet ascended. Meaning, I am on the move, baby. I am in my most dynamic state. So when something is in its dynamic state and it's hands off, but we don't understand how to allow God to have control of us when we are in the dynamic state. We want to control things when they move. Baby, you can't do that. Take your eye off the clock, the checkbook, the calendar, and the map if you really want to start moving in this dynamic state. Because the moment you try to measure it, you have to stop it. And so take this as this part of the lunch and learn is that in the moment you observe something, wherever your attention goes, the energy flows. So I don't know why it works this way. I'm not the physicist, and there are a lot of physicists, especially in the world of quantum physics, that have a whole bunch of theories and they've got mathematical formulas and it all works in the math. But the reality of it is that energy doesn't take shape, it doesn't take form until you observe it. And so and can't imagine that, like, nothing is outside of my door. My office door is closed. As far as the world of energy goes, nothing exists out there. There's no world outside. There's nothing until I look out there and see it. And then when I look out there and see, because I believe that it's there, it appears. Now there's a whole bunch of teaching on that, but I just wanted to sort of open your mind to understand that that's what this lunch and learn is about. So if you are thinking you can come to this lunch and learn and you're going to learn how to be a millionaire, you're going to learn how to make money, you're going to learn how to 10x your business, you're going to learn how to get $30,000 clients and all that other stuff. You may learn that, but that's not what I'm here to give you. And I could give it to you, and believe me, I could make hundreds of thousands and even hundreds of millions of dollars taking what I know and what I've learned over the last 40 years, putting a nice package on it. Call up my good friend Les Brown, who I haven't spoken to. Last time I saw Les was in 1995. 96, I was president of a limo service. Les came here to speak, and it was the greatest time in my life. I was president of a limo service and was well on my way to building my third multi-million dollar company. But as you guys will understand about my story is that I kept getting the plug was pulled. No sooner than I'm close to $1 million or the idea starts rolling, something happens and disconnected. And it wasn't until I realized that I was that something that caused it. And then I had to learn how to go through this progressive mindset that we're talking about right now. But as I was saying, if I had kept my relationship with Les from 1981, 82, when we first met in early 80, well, I got out of the Army in August of 81, and I think I met Les by December of 81. I met Les, but Les was the voice of reason in Miami when everybody was still trying to pull together the rubble from the May riots of 1980. 5 cops beat a motorcyclist, Arthur McDuffie, to death, and then the trial got so hot they moved it to Tampa, and then all 5 of the officers were found not guilty. Y'all, this dude was wearing a helmet, and his skull was cracked like an egg, and they lied and said, "Oh, he just fell. He fell." Well, there were 3 more riots. That caused a riot. Then there were 2 more after that. That all happened in the 80s. So what everybody's experiencing right now, we went through that in Miami back in, decades ago. But we're still going through that. But there was this voice, Les Brown. And man, I hung out under Les and learned everything I possibly could. But what was crazy was while I was meeting Les in the community-based world, coincidentally, by the hand of God, I say now, I got a corporate job working for then Southern Bell, and they took us through 6 weeks 40 hours a week of sales training. And I'm one of the best salesmen in the world. I got the best sales training in the world. But I just couldn't bring myself to sell because there's a manipulation thing that goes on when you're trying to get people to close and get them to the closing question and all those kinds of things. But while I was in the office of the guy that was over the call center, he had a book on his shelf in the office, and I was in the final interview with the head of the call center where I was going to work, and they were going to invest all this money in me. So they had to make certain, I guess, I was the guy. So while I'm waiting for the head of the Bell South call center in Miami to come out to meet with me, I guess I'm in his office, I think. But he had a book on the shelf, and the book said, "See you at the top." And I grabbed that book, and I was reading it really fast because I was trying to get enough of it before he came back. And it was by Zig Ziglar, "See You at the Top." And I started reading this book, and oh my God, I never read anything that was that powerful that wasn't the Bible. I'm telling you, honestly, I thought that the only way that words that would touch the spirit that deeply, that inspired you to move, to go and do something, I thought they had scripture. I thought they were scripture. Only scripture did that. I didn't know at 21, 22 years old, I didn't know that those books, those kinds of books existed. I didn't know that those kinds of people were out there. And because in my mind, if they were out there, they were either preachers who were inspiring or politicians. Because all my life, every time I saw a politician, every time I saw a white man in church, y'all, he was running for office. And that was from when I was a kid. We're going to take a break right now, the pastor says. And I'd like to bring up my good friend, Billy Williams Johnson. He's running for city council, and he wants to say something. And white dude speaks. I'm a kid. I don't know. So I'm listening to this guy and waiting for the preacher to get back to preaching. I go into the army and I come back, and then military was the leader. So I now got preachers, I got military, and I've got politicians, and I've got my dad. Those are the four brain things that are curving my brain, and then shaping my mindset. And I come out of the army, and all of those have let me down by the time I'm 21, 22. I don't have any trust or faith in the politicians, in the preachers, in the military, in my dad, certainly not in my dad. And then I meet Les Brown, and I'm reading Zig Ziglar book. And those books and Les Brown's teaching opened up a whole new life for me. And it put me on this 40-year journey that I've been on. Now, my point is I left Miami around mid 80s, and then we lost contact. The next time I saw Les was the mid 90s, about 10 years later. I'm now president of a limo service, and I had my barber. I wish I could find the barber that I had back then. And by the way, y'all, I'm totally off script, so I'm just looking and see what time it is and how long I've been going. I'm totally off script, but this is important to me. So thank you guys for hanging out with me for the lunch and learn. But when my barber was cutting my hair, I would always say I was visualizing. I say, man, I look forward to the day where one day I'm gonna come up here and I'm gonna have you to cut my hair. I'm gonna send my limo to come and get you, and my limo is gonna put you on my private jet and fly you over to cut my hair. I'm gonna pay you $500 just for my haircut. I'm gonna put you up in my penthouse suite and all of this just to get a hair. And he laughed. We were laughing about that. Fast forward a couple of years later. Now, this guy, this barber, by the way, was the guy that I met when I was on the street homeless, because I would walk through downtown and I walked past his barbershop, got my hair cut. He cut my hair. I think he he cut my hair the first time for free because I didn't have the money to cut my hair. And he was my barber for years after that. But that transition, people were helping me along the way. And when I needed it, I got what I needed. I was homeless for all of 2 days because I tried it. it wasn't for me. I had to get something done. I walked into Crystal and said, "Y'all hiring?" And my life just went from there. But every week at this barber, I talk every time I go get a haircut, we talk for years. So we're about the mid 90s now. So I met him in late 1990, early 91. So by now it's 95, 96. He's been cutting my hair every couple weeks. So and I'm going with him wherever he goes. He's got his business, he's successful, and we're dreaming. I'm dreaming. And then I'm president of a limo service um, because I've been a private chauffeur for one of the richest men in Jacksonville. He bought the limo service, and and then when he bought the limo service, we were I as the marketing president over the marketing and the limos. I ran the limo side and I did all the marketing for the company. By this time, we were the official limo service of the Jaguars. All the Jaguar players were now calling us to get our limos, to get limos. And then Les Brown is comes to town. He's brought in by a local church or a women's organization or something, but they were really excited about bringing them. So I called them up and I said, I want to sponsor Les's trip. And so our limo service, we sponsor Les. If I'm not mistaken, I think we paid for the hotel and the limo. So, and I wanted to just surprise Les because Les, you inspired me 10 years ago. And here I am now president of one of the fastest growing limo services in Jacksonville. And so we go and pick up Les at the airport. Les and I, we reconnect, and it was cool. And about that time, somewhere he was either engaged to Gladys or just about to marry Gladys Knight. And I think they had already been married. Later, a couple months after that, my wife and I went to Orlando to meet Les and Gladys. Les was there, and we sort of hung out for a minute there. And I kind of thought that maybe we would reconnect for a minute, and then of course, Les and Gladys ended up getting a divorce, and Les got on this path where I didn't see it, and I don't even think Les saw it. But Les is now like out in the way out there, right? But we got back to the hotel, and Les said, "Man, I need a haircut." And it's about 10 o'clock at night. Les is like, "I need a haircut. I gotta get this thing speak." And I said, "I got a barber for you." And I pick up the phone and I call Tony and at about 10 o'clock at night. And I say to him, "Man, remember what we always talked about? Uh, I'm going to send a limo over to pick you up to come back to the hotel. Les Brown needs a haircut." So he I drove over, picked up Tony, brought him back over and he cut Les's hair in the hotel and then went back. And that was 96. So it's almost 25 years. I haven't seen Les, but I could not be more proud of how successful he has become. And and now he's a brand all by himself. And so every now and then I get somebody's feed that there's a picture of them and Les Brown. And all you got to do is put Les Brown next to you and you are good to go. Well, I could do that too, but that's not my desire here. My desire is not to um, build a brand. And during these lunch and learn sessions, we're going to go through, I'm going into this because I really feel like the lunch and learn is really about the basics of business ownership. So I'll go over some of the nuts and bolts. And if you're home thinking about starting a business, you're not certain where you can go in your business, I'm telling you right now, you don't have to be looking at your unemployment check and saying, "I got 4 months of unemployment." That's not the way to look at this thing. Look at this thing is in 21 days, I can be anywhere I want to be. In 21 days, I can have the life that I want to have. In 21 days, forget about what it looks like. Take your eye off the clock, off the checkbook, off the calendar, off the map. Don't look at the way things are moving. You want to do in the reverse now. It's time for you to do the reverse. It's time for you to be still. When you can be still in the physical, the spiritual becomes the dynamic. Now you're saying to your spirit, you take your spirit is like you're the husband, whether you're female or female, you're the husband, and your spirit is the wife. And up to this point, You, the husband, have been calling the shots. You've been telling your wife, the God designed your wife to be submissive to you, the husband. Now, what God is saying in Ephesians, what is that? Ephesians 25, but it's in Ephesians 5. I think it's around the 12th verse, 21st verse, somewhere in there. It is saying to the husband, husbands, love your wife, but love your wife as you love your body, like yourself. So if you do that, then the two of you will become like one. And see, when your body and your spirit become one, then your spirit knows its place. Your spirit knows that it doesn't have a body. So your spirit has no choice but to be submissive to you if it wants to accomplish anything in this earth, because it's just a spirit. It has to be invited in. If there is no invitation, there is no impartation. You have to invite the spirit in. It's not you being invited to the church. Oh, no, it's the church being invited into you. So if you don't invite the church into you, there is no church. You can go to that building all you want to, but the moment the coronavirus shuts the building down, you'll find the lights start to go off. Those bills ain't getting paid. That mortgage ain't getting paid. There are some churches right about now that's about to get some eviction notices because they're just buildings. That's not where the church is. The church is within you. So when you realize that it's within you and you can begin to love that which is within you equally, just like you love the outside of you, you start loving the inside of you. Then you begin to understand what is going on in this environment is that the corporate world has been exploded and broken apart. There is no more corporations. There's no more national governments. There's no more global anything. The only thing we've got is each other. And now what do? Well, we're going to begin to vibe or vibrate together. And then we're going to begin to realize that entrepreneurship is a spirit. It's not a set of actions. It's a spirit. It's a spirit with a mindset. Just like you're a body with a mindset, your spirit has a mindset, but they work opposite of each other. They go in opposite directions. So what happens over here happens over there, but they look opposite of each other. So it's why your Facebook Live looks backwards when it replays, because it's playing a mirror image of it. It's not doing the exact same thing. It's doing it in reverse. So, and it can't do it the same time, because if it did it the exact same time, that would actually be you, but it's not you. It's a mirror image of you. So the mirror flips it. So our physical body is the mirror of our spiritual body. And so whatever we see on the physical is a mirror image of the spiritual. But that mirror is reflecting back whatever we put onto it. So if you're sending fear and anger up there, fear and anger is reflected back, and fear and anger is what you got. So that's the progressive mindset. We'll get into that a little bit later. Let me go back, and I'm going to go back here and share my screen so that we can begin the Lunch and Learn workshop. And you guys will be able to stay with me for, and I'm going to do this real quick. Thank you guys for hanging out with me this far. I hope that this benefits someone. As you can tell, this is not, again, these workshops are not for everybody. And not everybody is going to get this, because a lot of people are hurting and they say, "Ooh, I thought this was a Lunch and Learn." A friend of mine told me about the Lunch and Learn workshops, and I thought this was about starting a business. And I just been listening to this guy, and he talking about everything but business. You're right, because it's not what you think business is. The business is the business within you. When Jesus said, "I must be about my Father's business," he wasn't talking about going and starting a Shopify account somewhere. That's not the business he was about. And that's not the business you should be about. There's something that a role that we're supposed to play, something that we're supposed to accomplish, and it'll all be revealed. So let's go through this real quick. I want to talk today specifically in this particular session of the Lunch and Learn workshop. And by the way, I'll let this go through. The company started off as North American Small and Emerging Market Business Association. And then I later, 20 years ago, formed Nasimba Business Alliance and incorporated it into what I was already doing with CTI Marketing and the vision that I had for Consento Mobile. Now, Concentel Mobile division took another 25 years before that came to be. And so now all of it is one in the Concentel Mobile Cultural Capital Marketplace. So the Concentel Mobile Cultural Capital Marketplace is all three companies, CTI Marketing, Concentel Mobile, and the Simba Business Alliance. And in essence, each one of those three just take on three core business services. CTI Marketing does all the marketing. Concentel Mobile handles all of the customer service or all of the technology that it would take to serve. And then the Simba Business Alliance is the accounting component or the accountability component. So we'll have to go into specific coaching sessions for me to go into that in any more detail. But I don't want to prolong this particular session. I want to continue to play or to put up this particular saying by Marianne Williamson, because I really love this quote. If you guys remember the movie Akeelah and the Bee, Lawrence Fishburne had Keke Palmer to turn around and read this when she was doubting her ability to be successful in the spelling bee, because she was going up against the best in the nation and she was doubting herself. And he had her to read it. She read a shorter version of this, but this is the entire quote. It says, "Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people will not feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It is not just in some of us, it is in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give others permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. Now, in one of my previous sessions, I emphasized the word liberated and said, if you want to understand the argument about the what we're feeling in politics, we have so many choices as to how we can think as who we are, but our politicians have duped us into believing that we only have two choices: left wing, right wing, conservative, liberal, Republican, Democrat. And once they get that, then all they got to do is remove one of those, and now they got you where you feel you have no choice. Well, that's a lie. The word conservative is not a political ideology. Conservative is actually a mindset. If you are one who is about conserving, you save things, you don't spend, you don't waste. That's a conserve, one who's conservative. But the idea of conservation is rooted in fear that we're going to run out in the future. So you begin to conserve so that you don't run out. But there are times that you do need to conserve when the conditions are such that you need to do that. I may need to conserve the food that I'm eating right now because it needs to last for the 7 years before the next harvest shows up. Now I want to be conservative. But then liberated or liberal means liberated, set free. So if I was in the wilderness for 40 years and I was a slave for 400 years, when I am liberated, if I come out with the same mindset that I had while I was in slavery, then I am not liberated, but I am still in fear. I'm locked into fear. So liberated means to be set free. So conservative means to be conscious of limitations and be wise about the consumption of these rare or precious resources. That's what conservative is. Liberal or liberated means I am now free to move about the cabin. Going back to what I was saying earlier, one is static, standing still. The other one is dynamic and moving. So either you are static, conservative, or you're liberal, dynamic. That's not saying that they're opposites. Those are two different states of the same thing. You can't be both. You can't be standing still and moving at the same time. You can't be conservative and liberal at the same time. But when you are conservative, you can't be liberal. And when you are liberal, you can't be conservative. So you have to choose which one you want to be and then be that one. Why do you want to be conserving all the time? When you got billions and trillions of dollars you want to still conserve, if any time to be liberal, be free, that's the time to be free. But now, why do you want to be liberal when it's time to conserve? When it's time to conserve our precious commodity of human beings, people are dying, y'all. And suddenly everybody wants the freedom. I call it free. I'm free. I got the freedom to have my own church service. 70 people at one Pentecostal church, coronavirus, and they are dying. But they were free, right, to go and have service. That was the time to be conservative, my friend. So that's what this is about. Liberated is mindset. Conservative is mindset. I've been emphasizing that. I'll just put this up there, that when we talk about price and value and a transaction, price is always determined by the seller. The value is always determined by the customer, and there can be no transaction until the price and the value come to equal terms. Okay, so let's and Napoleon Hill says this: knowledge has no value except that which can be gained through its application towards some worthy end. So all of this has to be toward a worthy goal. In the next next 21, within the next 21 days, I'm going to talk about goal setting and give you some sound principles on setting goals and reaching that worthy end. Um, Seth Godin says it best, though. He's a marketing guru. Seth Godin says this: if we can fall in love with serving people, creating value, solving problems, building valuable connections, and doing work that matters, it makes it far more likely we're going to do important work. You see, that's the worthy end, doing important work. Right now, we have been stripped down to where only essential people are going to work. Now, if only the essential people are working, then what was everybody else doing in the American economy? Non-essential stuff. Our whole life was made up around non-essential garbage. Stuff that we were told we need, stuff that we told we have to have. We got to put this politician in office to keep this particular thing, or we got to conserve this and we got to get this, and it's not essential. Not in the face of coronavirus. It shows you what is really essential. And now you know. All right, so let's continue to focus on that which is essential. So as you are thinking about starting a business, as you're planning on retooling your business or getting back into business, you've got to get back to basics. And back to basics, and the basic way of thinking, the most basic way, begins up here with the right thinking. And the ultimate thinking should be: all of my actions, all of my knowledge is of no value if that which I gain I can't put to work toward a worthy end. So let's move toward that worthy end, and let's talk about what that looks like. We're going to continue we're in week 1, but today I want to talk about the stack principle. And the stack principle was revealed to me a few years ago, and just in my meditation and looking to God for wisdom, I was in that stage where I was beginning to make money. And I found that every time I started to make money, like the world would begin to shake under my feet and things would begin to fall apart. Partners would reveal themselves for who they are, and people would lie on me and all those kinds of things. And then I find myself right back to the bottom. I mentioned a note that I wrote to myself in one of the previous broadcasts that I did. that I wrote a note to myself when I first moved to Jacksonville 18 months after my mom's death. It said, starting over is not going back, it's moving forward to a brand new beginning. And I would continually find that note, find myself starting over. God, why was I starting over? And then God said, you never began. And that's when I went to the Bible, type in the word start to see what the Bible says about start. And in the King James Version, I challenge anybody to do this. Go to not the later translations of a translation, but go to the King James Bible, which is the parsing out of the Roman translation, the Greek and the Hebrew. Go there and type in the word start. And this is where you'll be blown away. You'll find out that there's not one verse with the word start. The word start is never used in the Bible. Never. That blew me away. Now begin plenty of times, but why start? And then this is the revelation that I got. That spirit and that physical world that you have, Richard, God said, I'm not in the physical. So the physical stuff, you have dominion over that. That's not my domain. So I can't start anything, and neither am I the one to finish it. Everything that started in earth will be finished in earth. That's just the laws over there. But I'm over here in the spiritual realm. I'm in the beginning. And therefore, I can speak something in the beginning and it will come to pass in the end. So whatever is spoken in the beginning will come to pass in the end. And God says, not only is that the case, I am so committed to that I am the beginning and I am the end. And I was like, oh my God. Then this revelation. If you begin now, you can always wait before you start. But if you wait before you start, you'll never begin. Right now, as coronavirus is taking people out by the thousands, there are thousands of people who are dying, and they're dying with the thought that maybe they should start a business. They're dying with the thought that maybe they should have written that book, or maybe they should have gotten that patent on that idea, or maybe they should have taken the money that was in their 401k and invested it in their brother's idea when the brother came to them. Or maybe all of those things are now coming to an end. But because there was something that was started, whatever was started must be finished first. That's the body must die. Now, when the body dies, you're going to end up where you were supposed to be from the very beginning on a spiritual basis. And it's at that spiritual moment that it says, okay, what did you accomplish between beginning and end? Oh, you didn't start anything? You did nothing? Really? Why? That's going to be a hard thing to take. Don't die with the seed in your hand. You got a seed in your hand right now. Don't die with it. You got to plant it somewhere. Get it in the ground and watch God make it grow. That seed of an idea of a business, you are now given the opportunity to launch it. I know it's scary. I know you're wondering, oh, I don't know if I'm going to be able to pay my rent. I don't know how I'm going to be able to do this. I'm just telling you, breathe and relax. God's got this. All right, so let's talk about the stack principle, and then I'm going to wrap up the lunch and learn because I've put all my time on this. Here's real quick, the stack principle, STACK, stack. What the stack principle is saying is that if wealth, if left alone, will continually increase in value. Money, if left alone, will continually decrease in value. Wealth, because it's a spirit, will continue to move in its dynamic state. So wealth is dynamic, so it's moving. Money is static. Money is just points along the way. My accountant said it perfectly. Money is just a good way of keeping score. So anytime you want to keep score, you have to stop something from moving to measure it so it becomes static. Remember that Jesus line, don't touch me because I'm moving. If you touch me, I'll stop. And wherever you touch me, that's where you measure me. So imagine money is just flowing through your life. And then the moment you stop to count it, that's how much money you got. But if you can see wealth as flowing through your life and you never stop to count it, then it will never stop increasing. You will forever be increasing as long as you never stop that wealth long enough to count it. Why sit back and count it? I don't need to count the wealth that's flowing through me. What I need to do is be less of a hindrance. That's what I'm trying to do. So let's talk about the stack. So when you get to the S in the stack is a storage fee. So when you apply a storage fee to wealth, this is why wealth can increase and money will decrease, because you'll do the same thing to both. So when you apply a storage fee to wealth, I could say, and let's make this cup represent wealth. Okay. So if this cup represents wealth, it's precious today. And it's when I found this cup, it was 1,000 years old. Well, because it gets it gets more valuable with time. Tomorrow, it'll be that much more wealthy. A year from now, certainly at an auction, somebody else will want to buy it and pay more for it. That's why when you watch the Antique Home Show on PBS, they always say two things. They give you the value. If you, they say they place the value in two ways. They say if you were to place insurance on this, it would be this much insurance. Or they say if you were to sell it at auction, it would be this much. Rarely do they give you both, because insurance is saying you're choosing the static route where it's going to stay in your house and you're going to insure it. That represents the money. The dynamic state represents the wealth. If you sell it in auction, well, if you sold it in an auction today, it'll be worth $1,000. But if you waited 2 years from now to sell it in an auction, it'll be even more, and so on and so forth. So as you are storing the wealth, you can store wealth, and there can be a fee that charges you. You keep it stored in a museum, and the museum charges you $100 a month to store this painting and secure it, and it's worth $1 million. Well, it's going to charge you $1,200. I guarantee you by the end of the year, the value of that painting has increased by more than $1,200. You see, wealth can pay the storage fee. But if that was $1 million itself, just a million, by the end of the year, inflation, the million that could buy something in January, it can't buy it in December at the end of the year, because everything has gone up in price. So now it's not even worth $1 million anymore. It's probably worth $850,000 worth of buying power. And then it gets taxed. So the taxes have to come off of that money. And then you got the storage fee. So let's just say the storage fee is all that's charged. Now it's no longer $1 million. It's $1 million minus $1,200. Now let's move it to the next level. The next one is the T, and that T stands for transfer fee. Let's say you realize that, wait a minute, I'm paying way too much for my money to be stored where it is. Let me transfer it over to somewhere else. So when you watching these TV commercials and Charles Schwab is telling you we can do better, and Fidelity is saying we can do better, and T. Rowe Price and all of these companies, and you know, when those commercials come on, you ignore those commercials, right? Well, because they mean nothing to you. But to people who are trying to store their wealth and transfer their wealth, that means everything, because there's transaction fees every time you move money. And these Wall Street companies are just moving money all day long, and they make money moving money. But or moving wealth, I should say, because they're moving their wealth. As their wealth increases, it has to be moved somewhere, and they're trying to avoid paying taxes on it. So if it sits, it gets taxed. So let's keep moving it. Let's keep moving it. Well, the transfer fee on money, because money isn't increasing, the more you move money around, the more transaction fees are taken off of it. By the time it gets down to the bottom, there's nothing. Perfect example is during Hurricane Katrina, the federal government created a contract, and I think it was something like $135 per cubic ton to remove trash. And there was tons of trash, tons and tons of trash. And so a dump truck would get paid $135 every time you moved a dump truck of stuff. And there are people that had, 10 dump trucks, and you're moving 20, 30 dump trucks, and they got 10 metric tons on it. So basically, let's just say the average dump truck is going to make the company $1,300 if paid for right there. So somebody was going to get that money. But a major company got the contract and then gave it to a subcontractor who gave it to a subcontractor who gave it to a sub and gave it to a sub. And by the time Johnny's dump truck company got that contract to move that trash, I think it was like $85 a ton. So all of the money from 135 all the way down to 85 went somewhere. It went into somebody else's pocket. And that's what happens with money. That's the money market. So money market is not the same as wealth market. And you can see when you start transferring money as opposed to wealth, wealth is increasing and wealth can cover the transfer fees. Because money doesn't increase, you start attaching transfer fees and money starts decreasing. The next one is the A. A is access. Let's say every time you want to access your money, there's a fee. So you want to go into the safe deposit box and just smell your bonds and just look at that painting. That's all you want to do is go in and access it. And the company says, well, I got to charge you a fee. You mean you want to charge me every time I access my wealth? Yes. Well, I can afford that because the wealth is growing. But there are people who have credit card accounts and these liar loans or whatever it was that they were at the very lowest level. There are companies that make money off of transaction fees. Some of these banks and credit cards charge you a fee to check your balance. They charge you a fee to move money over. They charge you a fee to get it from an ATM. You try to access your money and they charge you a fee, and you keep doing that. After a while, you got no money left. And that's the other difference between wealth and money. Money doesn't decrease because of the access fee. Wealth can handle the access fee, money can't. The next fee is the C, and that's the creation fee. You can create money for somebody. All the workers who are working at Amazon, they are creating money for Jeff Bezos. So where does all the money go? All the money goes to Jeff Bezos. Where did it come from? It came from all those workers who created it. Did they get a creation fee? No, they get an hourly salary. See, your labor does not create wealth. Somebody else uses your labor to add to their wealth, maybe, because Jeff Bezos will take that money and go buy assets that appreciate. But you can't take that money because you're part of the collective. You can't take all the money that Amazon is making. You're just one employee. You're working for the money. Jeff Bezos is collecting the wealth. So now they're saying, and then there are a lot of people who do this and say, one of my friends really wanted to argue with me over this about, well, that's just absolutely fair. That's the only thing that's fair. He's the one that created Amazon. No, he didn't create Amazon. The environment created Amazon. In this environment, I guarantee you, Jeff Bezos could not have created Amazon in Cuba. Jeff Bezos could not have created Amazon in China. He could not have created Amazon in Russia. He could not have created Amazon anywhere but in this environment called the United States, with its tax system, with its laws, and with everything that made it possible for him to do what he did. It created the environment, and then everything came out of that. Now, they manipulated the environment because he doesn't pay back taxes. He doesn't do all those things. I'll get into all of that. But the bottom line is, no, Jeff Bezos didn't create Amazon. Amazon was created in an environment. He didn't create the environment that allowed Amazon to exist. And that's what, when people pay taxes, they're paying to replenish the environment so that someone else can come by and that environment also grows. But his wealth now is increasing. The money for that creation fee, you're not collecting it because you as a taxpayer don't get any money off of that, especially when you got people that have this mindset that wealthy people earned it. They built it. They should be billionaires and trillionaires, and that's only right, really. And you got 45 cents in your pocket right now talking about why a multi-billion trillionaire has the right to have $1 billion trillion. Understand wealth and understand money, and you'll understand this. Wealth, if left alone, will continue to increase in value. Note, if left alone. Money, if left alone, will continue to decrease. Leave Wall Street alone and not give them $2 billion, $2 trillion of stimulus, and watch what happens. All right, the K is for knowledge. When you have knowledge, you can charge a fee. This is where there's the most hope, guys, and where I'm most excited, is we are now in a knowledge-based economy. There are people that are selling their courses now for thousands of dollars because they've got knowledge that somebody needs. I could sell this course. I could sell this course that I'm doing right now for thousands of dollars to the right people who will take this knowledge and run with it. But I'm making it available to everyone through these Lunch and Learn workshops because I want to reach everyone. I don't want to exclude anybody at this particular time. And it may be just for these 21 days that this happens. And then after this, I'm like, I don't have to do it free again. I won't. I'll make it available. You'll be able to access it. And because it's wealth, my wealth of knowledge, you'll be able to access it, and I'll be able to handle the fee because my wealth will allow me to handle the fee, that I don't have to charge you a fee to access this knowledge, this wealth of knowledge. But that's the stack. S, storage; T, transfer; A, access; C, create or creation; and knowledge, K, knowledge. When you understand the stack principle as it relates to wealth and money, you will be able to separate the two in your mind, and you'll be able to understand that money is just a good way of keeping score in the static state. And wealth is energy that you can't touch, you can't stop. The moment you look at it, the moment you observe it, you move it over into the static category. So stop trying to count how much money you have or don't have right now, as wealth is starting to move throughout this universe, throughout the world. By October 5th, 2020, that's what I'm telling you. This will all settle down and everything will shake up, and there'll be those who are making the wealth, creating the wealth and creating the opportunities, and then those who I won't say missed it, but it's not for everybody. But it doesn't have to be for everybody, because there are going to be people who will gladly do the essential jobs. And after this thing, there should never be an argument as to whether or not we pay a minimum wage of $15. Minimum, we should be willing to pay $15. So what I want to do now is go into the part of the Lunch and Learn section where I can talk to you about the progressive mindset theory. So let's get into that real quick. This course, of course, will help you balance the understanding, help you understand the balance of balance, of the significance, I should say, of balancing quality relationships with an effective and efficient use of time. And you'll also learn how to manage your physical and spiritual resources in order to reach your goals and achieve greatness. So this particular course, with this particular week, we're talking about the progressive mindset theory and developing the PS factor. So let's go into the progressive mindset theory. And the progressive mindset theory says this is that your mentality, which is developed either through your biological, your genealogical, or your environmental influences, will progressively determine your mindset, meaning you learn new things, you apply new things, it changes your mentality, the way you think, and then your mindset gets set, or I should say, yeah, the way you think, and then your mindset gets set, and this is how you think always. You just, now this is your outcome. So on the mentality, it's your inputs, all the things you put in your mind, and your mindset is your outputs, all the things that you see reflected off of your spirit. Your spirit man becomes the reflector or the screen, and it's reflecting, your life is reflecting everything that you've been feeding on. So it begins at the lowest level of vibrations on the physical level, then it goes to mental, then it goes to emotional, and then it goes to spiritual. One of the best definitions that I've ever heard of an emotion is that an emotion is an extremely fast subconscious evaluation of a situation. So if the physical is the situation and the mental is the evaluation of the situation, then your emotions is a subconscious evaluation of the physical situation. So that's your senses: sight, smell, hearing, taste, and touch. Well, if you want to walk over to the spiritual side, you this is where that spiritual die to the flesh thing comes in. You got to disconnect those five. Once you disconnect them, now the emotions have only one choice: to go from the static, physical, mental, and into the dynamic. Now your emotions are moving and it has no indications of what's going on. This is when you go into your prayer life, when you go into meditation. The reason why meditation and prayer work is because when you are truly meditating and when you are truly praying, you have unconsciously, or you have consciously become unconscious. You have disconnected from your physical and your mental, and you're no longer getting your sensations or your readings, if you will, from your sight, smell, hearing, taste, and touch. You're now in the zone, and you're picking up on spiritual, emotional influences, and those resonate or vibrate within your mind as your what's feelings. Now, you hear the word feelings, and I don't want you to think of it as I can feel myself pinching my hand. I can feel this. No, this is not the feeling. I can sense it. I have the sensation of being pinched, because in reality, I am not feeling the sensation in my hand. I'm feeling it in my mind. My mind is sending me a signal that says, hey, you're being pinched. So where's the pinching taking place? It's taking place in my mind. My mind senses it. That's what this is. Sight, smell, hearing, taste, and touch are just rushing senses up to your brain, and your brain is doing some amazing things right now. Turn it off, move it aside, and watch what your spirit does. Your spirit now takes off and it starts to run with no direction, no anything. It's just moving. And now, what do you sense? What do you feel? At the higher level, your sensations become feelings. Now I feel gratitude. I feel forgiveness. I feel respect, compassion, and love. Those are the most, I won't say powerful, but those are the first feelings that you're going to encounter when you go into the spiritual realm. They're like the gatekeepers. They're right there at the gate. You're going to come through one of those gates. You're going to come through the gate blazing because of gratitude. You're going to come through the gate blazing because of forgiveness, or blazing because of respect, blazing because of compassion, blazing because of love. I see gratitude, love, and forgiveness are the three that we're used to. But rarely do we see compassion and respect, because we've lost those. And I think that this is our opportunity now to understand, okay, we can talk love. You talk a good love game, you talk a good gratitude game, and maybe even you're beginning to talk a good forgiveness game. But we gotta strengthen our respect and compassion game for each other. And I think that as we do that, we'll begin to start seeing the benefits. So that's what this process is about. These two verses really sum it up. Wisdom is the principal thing. Get wisdom, you know that. And then the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. So begin and end. Begin with this desire to get wisdom. Now, here's the progressive mindset. We started off day one. We talked about how the caveman mentality has a fearful mindset. You get free from that caveman mentality and you find yourself in the slave mentality. You got the chains. I'm working, whether it's you slave to a marriage, or you're slave to a family, or a slave to a job. Your mindset is, I wake up and this is what I got to do. And you don't realize it, but vibrating at your most basic level is fear and anger. Fear and anger. Now you can hide it with a good golf game, and you go play tennis, and you smoke a joint, or whatever it is that you do to make yourself feel like you are distancing yourself away from fearful and anger. But all it takes is something to trigger it. And that doesn't happen really until you get to that farmer mentality. The farmer mentality is no longer fearful, no longer angry, but the farmer, because of the nature of the farmer, the nature is honoring. The farmer is honoring. So he's looking for pests. He's looking for bugs. He's looking for things that's going to come and mess up his crop. That he's going to put a fence around the field. He's going to fly a plane over with spray and spray that's the farmer is doing all of that. And if you look around our nation right now, we're pretty much we think we're coming out of the industrial age, well, we're in the industrial age and moving into the whatever this new age is, the information age or whatever this age is. But technically, we've never left the farmer mentality. We still are in the agrarian age. They're still trading stocks based on the thinking like they're commodities and they're things that you have to plant and you got to wait for a season to come in. Due season, it will come. That's the farmer mentality. What happens to the farmer? The farmer is ornery. He could be nice. He really could say some nice things, but that's not what the farmer is about. The farmer is going to vilify that fox, that harmless fox over there hasn't done anything. But the farmer goes, yeah, but you let enough foxes in here, he'll tear up the fox, will tear up everything. So kill the foxes. You see one little bug, one little cute grasshopper. It's just a little cute little grasshopper. The farmer says, smash it, because if there's one, there'll be a billion, and then smash them. I wish the farmer mentality had done that with this coronavirus, but there was a different mindset about a virus because the farmer didn't see it coming, didn't think it would affect his crops. So a lot of us with our farmer mentality just, went about our way because this is helping my crops. But see, it's not about your crops anymore. That when the whole environment is affected, your crops can't grow. Now you got to fence around your crops and you got a water sprinkler system on your crops and you got pesticides on your crops, but the sun ain't shining. Baby, all your crops dying. So we got a bigger issue, the farmer mentality with that ornery mindset. But how do you get past that farmer mentality? And this is where we are today on day 4, the fisherman mentality. The fisherman mentality says, I'm not going to get into farming anymore and planting seeds. I'm going to go and find myself a good fishing hole. And I was talking with one of our members this morning, and she said her business is drying up, but she's got another business that is now, phones ringing off the hook because of this other business that she has. And she says, now I've got multiple streams of income. I said, no, you don't have multiple streams of income. What you have is multiple fishing holes. That's all you got. And while everybody else maybe don't even have a fishing hole, some people have multiple fishing holes, but you have a lot of fishing holes that if this one dries up, you can go to that one, and that one dries up, you go to that one. Yes, that's all you are. But you have that protective mindset when you're a fisherman because you got a lot of things going on, but you ain't going to tell anybody. You won't share it with anybody. You want to wait until you catch the biggest fish first before you tell anybody that you got this fishing hole. You don't want to tell anybody about it because why? Everybody's going to come and fish in your fishing hole. That's the fisherman mentality. So if I gave you some, I won't have enough for myself. If I shared it with you, I might run out. That fisherman mentality going into the protective mindset. And this is what we added, hashtag survival mode. And I guess I'm adding a new hashtag with each one, but the hashtag get ready for greatness, hashtag only love will, hashtag reverse the hate. So, and hashtag survival mode. So if you're conscious of survival mode, conscious of the need to get ready for greatness, conscious of the fact that only love will reverse the hate, you're coming out of these mindsets that keep you locked in. So right now, understand that we need to work on shifting out of that protective mindset by recognizing that when you have a protective mindset as a fisherman, you are constantly in survival mode. Now, there are 7 streams of income, and I'll end with this, not 7 fishing holes, but 7 streams of income, and I'll put them on a slide tomorrow, and we'll begin there with the 7 streams of income. But the first stream of income should be the income that you make with the work of your hands, the things that you can do to sell your leisure time and punch a clock and go to work. That's your first stream of income. Now, obviously, that stream has dried up for everybody. And because you don't have any other stream of income, you stand in the unemployment line. But the second stream of income should come from a business. And what it means is owning a business gives you an income, not just owning the business. A lot of people own the business, but then when the business dries up, the income dries up. The idea is having a business that allows you to pay yourself first. And if you can pay yourself first an amount that equals to the first income, you can get rid of that income and use the time to put into your business and get more income. And now, as you start growing your business, you can start hiring other people and they become the number one. And you're now supplying them with income while you're getting income from your business. So there are two streams of income: the income from your hourly. And yes, even as a business owner, I pay myself and I do payroll for myself. And we were planning on hiring 4 employees basically every quarter. That's how fast I saw my business growing until the coronavirus hit. And now we're sort of slowing things down. Um, but the process hasn't changed. And it's the 7 streams of income that I am focused on and have been focused on building. And I want to show you how to build those 7 streams. So 7 fishing holes, remember this: 7 fishing holes is not the same as 7 streams. Okay. So the first stream is income that you make with the work of your hand, going and selling your labor in the labor market. The second stream is the work of your hands towards your own business. And therefore, you can pay yourself there a salary. The third stream of income is the interest income. That's the money that you make off of your money going to work. So you have money now that instead of putting it, that fishing hole is, even when the fishing hole dries up, you can put money in it. And so now you got fishing holes and they all got money in it. So let me ask you this: would you rather go back to those 7 fishing holes and have to fish and pull fish out of them? Or would you rather have those 7 fishing holes, through whatever force of nature, they all dry up? But as they dry up, every one of them gets stuffed with money. And now you're hiding money in those 7 fishing holes. Yeah, see, that's what you want to do. Now you got money, and those fishing holes with that money in it, 7 different places where you're making interest off your money without having to work for it. That's what you want to have. So you got your labor income, you got your business income, now you have your interest income, and now you want income from your dividends, and that's the shares of stock on the bigger businesses. Now you're investing in bigger businesses, and now you get shares of stock from those. And that's where Wall Street is. And that's where a lot of people are losing money, because Wall Street is crashing. The reason why you're not concerned about it is because you're still in the cave, or you're still a slave, or you're still a farmer, or you're a fisherman. You're not at the level where you're thinking about dividends from companies in which you've invested, but you're going to get there. That's what this process is about. So dividends. The next level of income is income that you're making off of real estate. That's when you got property and your real estate. Now, a lot of people are making money off of real estate. The problem is real estate is their only stream of income. Again, the real estate creates income. Everything should create income. There are 7 streams of income, guys. They're not 7 activities to make money. There are 7 streams of income, money coming in that can be converted to wealth. So now you got real estate, and then the number 6 is going to be capital gains. Capital gains is when you cash in your chips and you sell everything for the value. You selling your stock, you sell your business, you sell your real estate, you even sell your job. I didn't sell my job, but I gave my job to a friend in radio. I gave him the job. Literally, I was working in radio. His name is Mike. And, I said to Mike, man, you don't need to go to this school. Come to me. I'll teach you how to run the board and set you up for an interview. Mike went on that interview. We laugh about it because he didn't quite do everything that I told him, but he still got the job. 35 years later, Mike is still in radio, because that was a stream that went over to him. So all of these are streams. So you got the job income stream, the business income stream, the money interest off your money income stream. You got the dividends off your stocks income stream. You got the money off your real estate investment income stream. And then you've got capital gains when you cash in everything income stream. And then the 7th and the final one is that royalty income stream. Oh, hallelujah. That's generational wealth, baby. That's money off of granddaddy's money, off of great granddaddy's money. And there are a couple families that every time somebody's born into the family, they automatically get a like a $50 million drop, $5, $10 million drop in their life because granddad's money said that's what you should do. So every time somebody's born into that family, they get an account that is set up that doesn't, it's enough money that they don't touch it till they're 28 or 35 years old, but it sits there and it grows and following all of these principles. And it's maybe investing in jobs and all these other things. And by the time that cash is in, that's royalty money. That's royalty, king, queen money. That's what it is. That's why it's called royalty. It's that's some royal money, baby. So those are the 7 streams of income. Guys, I know I've been on this thing for a minute. I went really extended today. So if you watch this, it's because you really wanted to get this information. But I figure by now, anybody that wasn't interested, y'all have dropped off long by now. So the person, whoever, in fact, if you have watch this thing all the way to the very end. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to page past those. These are the numbers. I want you to call me at that number, 329-904-329-7240, and just leave your name, your phone number, and your email address. And I want to talk to you personally. I just want to thank you for just listening all the way to the end. I also want to sort of pick your brain a little bit because if you did listen all the way to the end, there was something that was of interest to you, and it would help me to be able to make this thing a little bit better for the next person that's going to come on board. So let me stop sharing my screen here and just say, finally, thank you all for hanging out with me for the Lunch and Learn. If you are watching it live on YouTube, you've had an opportunity to just see how it all unfolds. Join me tomorrow for day 5 as I go into the next step in the mentality as we talk about the hunter mentality and the hunter having that hungry mindset, that he's motivated, that motivated mindset. And my gift has always been to be the motivator. And I had to learn, though, that as the motivator, I needed to learn how to motivate myself because I had no motivation. I had no one in my ear. There were very few people that were encouraging me to greatness. Even as I was encouraging everybody else and working with everybody else, very few people were picking up the phone and calling and saying, "Hey, how are you doing?" And I'll leave you guys with this. I just shared this with a good friend of mine. Um, we've been friends for years, decades even. And I was back when I coming out of homelessness, and I finally got into my apartment, baby, and I didn't have enough money for furniture. My furniture consisted of 2 plastic lawn chairs, hard plastic lawn chair. I bought them for $5 each, and 2 phone books that back then in the early 90s, you were still getting the thick yellow pages and the thick white pages. And my phone, those 2 phone books sat in between those 2 chairs, and the phone sat on top. That was my living room furniture. I had in the kitchen, I had 1 set of dishes, 1 green plate, 1 smaller green plate, a green bowl, green cup, and fork, spoon, and knife with green handle. I bought them all as a set. That was it. That was what I had in the kitchen. And then in the bedroom, a friend gave me her bedroom set, but the mattress, I couldn't save it. I just decided I was not going to try and sleep on that mattress. So I threw the mattress away, but I had the bed frame and I figured I'd get a mattress. I never bought a mattress. So I just had the bed frame, but I would sleep in the frame on the floor. That was my whole life, my apartment. And I remember my phone got disconnected. And I was going to work, but I was working just enough to pay the bills and get gas and buy some food. But wasn't making enough money to buy a mattress. Certainly couldn't get it on credit. Wasn't making enough money to, and I didn't want to rent furniture, so I wasn't making enough money to buy furniture. Wasn't making enough money to get anything more than what I had. So I was in maintenance mode. And then my phone got disconnected. Little misstep here and there, and one fee from the bank and all this other stuff. And next thing you know, I don't have the money to pay my phone bill. Phone's disconnected. It took me 90 days to get my phone on. And then the moment my phone was on, I jump on the phone and I called all of my friends to let them know that my phone was finally back on. And to my surprise, not one of my friends knew my phone was off. That was an eye opener for me right there. It changed my life. This whole thing about friends and people around you, I was thinking, man, as I came to realize it, when you pick up the phone, you hear a dial tone. When you start dialing it, you hear touch tones. When it rings on the other end, you hear the ring tone. But there's also that sound that the phone makes when it's your phone ringing. And at that moment, I realized I never heard my phone ring. And see, you can get to a point to where there's certain things that don't happen in your life, and that becomes normal for you. That it's like being amputated, and after a while, you get used to not having an arm. But imagine your arm is there the whole time, and you've just been treating it as if it was amputated. The whole time I was treating something that wasn't there as if it was there. It's no different than treating something that is there as if it's not. And remember, in the spiritual world, it doesn't matter which way it goes, back or forward. It's just there. It just is. I was treating friends that were not there as if they were always there. And it took my phone being shut off for 90 days for me to come to the realization what was truly real. Guys, this coronavirus is shutting us down for 90 days. 90 days is going to tell you how many times your phone rings by friends who call you during this 90 days. The people who reach out to you during this 90-day shutdown, let those be the ones that go with you going forward. Everybody else, go through your Facebook, and I'm not going to delete people. I got too many people in there, and it'll take far more time for me to delete y'all than for me to just ignore it and move on and embrace the new ones that come on board. That's what this is about. There's a newness that's coming. Get ready for greatness means clear the slate, clean out the garage, get ready to drive your new car in that garage. Get ready to put the new furniture in. Get ready to make more money. Get ready, get ready, get ready. All those times you've been told to get ready, now the time is on you. Get ready for greatness. So let's use those 4 hashtags. Hashtag get ready for greatness. Hashtag only love will. Hashtag reverse the hate. And hashtag survival mode. And start sharing these videos with your friends. And we're going to make a community out of this in the 21 days. That's all it takes to make yourself the greatest life possible. You can do it in 21 days. Guys, it's always fun hanging out with you. And I really appreciate you for hanging out this long on this extended version. We're going to do it all again tomorrow. Join me on my Facebook Live around 8:15 or so. I come on and I do my morning commute. So I'll make it a point that it's no later than 8:15. But I try to get here to the office around 8:30 so that I can get set up and be ready to roll by 9 o'clock. So, I'm going to consistently do it, and I'm going to do my best to keep the morning commutes down to 20 minutes and keep the lunch and learn sessions at an hour. And as we continue to evolve, I'm going to become more mindful of that and start building up my production team to just help me. Right now, I'm literally a one-man show doing all of this. And still I have tons of work to do as it relates to the marketing consulting, and on the side I'm not the CPA, but I work here with the CPA. And so the accounting part that I create for my clients to hand over to the CPA to make certain all the numbers are in place, that keeps me really busy. And there are many mornings, and have been, that I've walked out of here at 2 a.m. simply because there's so much work to do right now. I am living the life of my dreams in the midst of a virus. Only God can do that. So thank you. Whoever hung out this long, you are like, I'm having fun, y'all. So I'll see you all tomorrow. Let's do it again. Till tomorrow, take care.